Oh my gosh, I'm so it's a pleasure meeting you. This is
It,
awesome.
it's nice to see you and talk with you, and thank you very much for giving me opportunity to talk with you.
Of course. Well, thank you for even reaching out to me. It's an honor. It's really cool. So what part of India are you from again?
South India.
South India? Nice. I'm from New York, New York City.
So
So,
yeah, so I thought to tell about you and you as a STEMist to my audience.
okay. Yes.
So before that, can you please introduce yourself to my audience and to the world who is watching and listening to our conversation?
Sure. My name is Ashley Pacheco. I'm a special education teacher in the Bronx, Bronx, New York. Um, I want to transition my teaching career into coding. I want to become a full stack developer. Um, and what inspired me to um, a little inspiration was a pandemic, actually. Remote remote teaching and motivated me, inspired me to become a digital nomad. And they say that coding is the new literacy, and I do love literacy. Um, so yeah. Oh, I'm Puerto Rican. Yo soy boricua, para que tú lo sepas. I have to represent my people too. Yeah, and I've been teaching for 5 years now, special education. So I work with students with autism, um, emotional disabilities, um, and yeah, so that's basically what I do for a living. Is very rewarding, and I'm also learning that STEM is everywhere, and I think that we need to, as like as a human race, we need to inspire children today to get into STEM more because, like I said, STEM is everywhere, and I feel like we can make STEM really, really fun and cool because it is cool and fun.
So
Yeah.
you're from New York City.
Excuse me?
You're from New York.
Yes, born and raised. I'm from the Bronx. I was born in the Bronx my whole life. I went to college in the Bronx. I teach in the Bronx. My parents, they raised me. We all grew up in the Bronx. So, and now my family, we're all spread out across the country, but I take a lot of pride in my home. I'm a very, very proud Bronx native, for sure.
So you started giving special education from last 5 years.
Yes, 2017. And prior to that, I was teaching English in Shanghai, China, 2016 to 2017. I was out there for 8 months, and then I got into my master's program for special education. So I returned to returned to New York shortly after my year in Shanghai. Well, 8 months to be exact.
So you know Chinese.
I know how to say hello, ni hao ma. It was easy to get around because Shanghai is so westernized and everyone speaks English and Mandarin. So there was no language barrier. The language barrier was not as intense as I anticipated, but I do regret not picking up more Mandarin than I should have. I could have definitely made a better effort. Also, I was teaching English out there. So yeah, I mean, I like I said, I know a little bit. I remember when I was in Shanghai, I knew how to count from 1 to 10. I knew to count the numbers, but I honestly forgot. It's been 4 or 5 years since I was out there.
So you have done masters in special education. What is special education? What it mean?
So special education, in my words, special education is tailoring curriculum based on the child's disability. So I've learned throughout my years of teaching in special ed that not every child learns the same, and it doesn't mean anything. Special education really means that the child learns in different ways. So you have some students that are nonverbal. You have some students that are verbal. The students that are nonverbal, for instance, since they can't since they do have a struggle enunciating and using their vocal cords, they use communication devices to express their needs and their wants. We I have a few students that are nonverbal and they have communication devices and they have pictures and words. So for instance, if my student wants to use the bathroom, he or she would choose the bathroom symbol, and we would know that child wants to go to the bathroom since that child is unable to vocally express their wants of going to use the toilet and such. And also in special education, we have individual education plans for each student because, like I mentioned, since not all children learn the same way, we come up with individual plans to tailor and accommodate their learning needs. Because my students are brilliant. They just have disadvantages, but their disadvantages, they don't define who they are. I have students that are nonverbal and they can read. They could read with pictures, and that's fascinating. I have students that are verbal and they are below grade level and they're still learning how to recognize letters, recognize phonemes, sounding words out. So, yes, literally, there's a lot of emphasis in special because every child is special. We learn in special ways, we learn in unique ways. There's always a way to figure out something. And I actually had a individual education plan when I was growing up. I had a speech impediment, and because when I was a baby, I started speaking late. I was around 2 years old when I started using my voice. So it it is a rewarding job, and I definitely shout out to my special ed teachers and shout out to teachers in general for doing what they do because we really do impact a child's life, even if we don't know it. So, yeah.
So what is the age group of your children?
I teach I teach primary school. So, in the United States, we call it elementary school. And the grade I teach is grade 3 through 5th grade, grade 3 to 5, third through 5th grade. And the age is usually between 8 to 11 years old. So that's the age group that I've been working with for the last 5 years.
So you also mentioned it is related to emotional disability.
I'm sorry, repeat that again.
You mentioned emotional disability.
Emotional disturbance, yeah. So students in special ed, they have a variety of learning disabilities. So emotional disturbance is one of them, autism is one of them, intellectual disability, learning disability, hearing, hearing impairment. I had one student, he had a cochlear implant. He was deaf, one part of his head. I mean head, sorry, ear. But yeah, so he would wear the cochlear implants on his head because it would pick up sound. And he was brilliant, is brilliant. I only had him 1 year. I had him my first year of teaching. So I like to think that every student's a snowflake. Everyone's different. Because even with hearing aids, a child could do so much. A child could read, a child could write, a child could read lips. So it's fascinating. Definitely they're the real superheroes for sure.
So what
Yeah.
made you to take this as a master's subject, special education? What inspired you? What motivated you?
Let me see. Ever since I was 15 years old, I've always worked with students. I've always volunteered. I would either volunteer when I was in high school, I volunteered Sunday school as a, catechist assistant. Then in college, I became a tutor counselor for a STEM program called STEP, Science Technology Entry Program at my university. After university, I joined an AmeriCorps program called City Year, where I worked with students in primary school, elementary school. And so education has always followed me. To be very transparent, I'm I was still figuring out what my dreams and passions are. So since I was already used to the education system in New York, I figured let me get a master's and then so I could figure out what I really want to do. And I do enjoy working with students. They're fun and they're characters, they're little characters. Like it's I will tell you this, it's never a dull moment at my job. You learn so much from these kids. They teach you a lot, they make you laugh, they make you frustrated. It's like you're their mother, you're their parent for those 8 hours. You learn so much about them and they teach so much that you never thought you would learn. Um, but I never dreamt about becoming a teacher. I'm humbled and grateful that I have the opportunity to be a teacher in New York City. Very rewarding. I've made so many beautiful connections with students and parents. Um, but when the pandemic happened, that's right. That's when the world was confused and didn't know what to do because we had to think really, really quick. So the teachers, including myself, we had to create Google Classrooms and virtual websites, virtual activities for our students. We had to wear so many hats. We were the teachers, the technicians. Um, we were doing a lot. So while I was working remotely during the pandemic, that's when I realized I enjoy working from home. I do enjoy working with students. Um, but I do want to travel the world and I want to explore so much. I want to bring my work wherever I go. So that's when I started doing my research on coding. And I'm like, coding sounds really interesting. I was in an Instagram for a year during the pandemic. I wasn't on it. I wanted to take a mental health break from social media. It was affecting my self-esteem and I was so consumed with, what's on this phone and like I used to compare myself and feel sorry for myself and I'm like, no, I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. This is my life and I want to do what makes myself happy. And do not get me wrong, I do enjoy teaching, but I feel like I could branch out with the knowledge that I've gained in university, in my master's program. I feel like I could just share a lot of knowledge. I would enjoy teaching students coding. I'm still learning how to code. I just started learning back in May, and to be quite frank, I only know very, very little about coding. I do know that I want to do full stack. I understand full stack is front end and back end. I have girlfriends that want to have their own businesses, and I'm all like, you know what? Give me 2 years. Give me at least 2 years, hopefully less than that. I would love to create websites and apps for my friends, for females owned businesses. Like I feel like I could make a difference with coding. I could, especially with my knowledge in education. I feel like I could also be a mentor once I master coding, once I master full stack. I'm still learning. I started taking a course and I might be behind. So much has been happening. I'm actually catching up with my work this week. It's called She Codes, and it's self-taught. And what I love about She Codes is that I can always do the work. The work is not going anywhere because it's self-taught. So I do have an accountability buddy. I befriended a group of women on Instagram, and we have our own group chat for coding. And I actually met one of my mentors, my coding mentor. Her name is Jackie. She created this group, this little community for female beginner coders. So I actually, over the weekend, I'm actually meeting up with one of my colleagues. We're gonna have a virtual study date, and she's gonna walk me through HTML and CSS. And I'm really excited because I feel like the world, as we know, is shifting, and um, I really feel like this digital era is gonna do a lot more good. And I think this is the push that we needed. Granted, I'm not, of course, I want this pandemic to be over. I mean, don't we all? But I feel like this pandemic has been an eye opener for everyone, for so many of us, that we could really put our minds, if we believe in ourselves, the possibilities are endless. And that's why working in special ed, I cannot thank God enough. I'm so humbled that my students teach me that literally anything is possible. Like I mentioned, I have students that communicate with me on devices. That's that's dope. Like they can't they can't verbally speak, but they could write, they could communicate. And that's basically coding. Code Hi, this is my best friend's cat, by the way. Hi, Noelle. Say hi. I'm cat sitting for my best friend. He's more like my brother, so we have company. But yeah, I feel like coding applies to anything. I mean, I want to code in a technology kind of way, like in a tech. I'm saying this wrong. I'm sorry. But if you think about it, we've been coding since we were kids. Like I'm sure you remember as a child, you used to speak secret languages with your friends when you were in primary school, or like have secret games, and that's coding. It's literally, I guess, like dissecting anything and everything. I want to make websites. I want to make apps. I want to help small businesses thrive. Um and I'm which is why I'm doing my research and I'm networking. And how cool is this that you're in India, I'm in the United States, and we are having this conversation, a virtual interview. We could not do this 15, 20 years ago. And it's amazing. I think it's amazing that students have access, digital access to an education. Now, granted, I'm old school. I love going, I think I encourage students to take a walk to the library, do their research. But heck, if you want to do research, you have like, the power of your phone, your laptop, your tablet. Granted, you need to do your research properly and make sure you look up proper sources, because obviously in the internet, not everything is true. And as we know, a lot of things we see on the internet could be counterfeit. But there are valuable resources, legitimate resources online that students, adults, anyone could look up. So I really find it very interesting, very neat. I feel like if constructed properly, STEM education and education in general, with the right resources, with the right mentors, with the proper coaching, we could really take digital education to a whole new level. Education, we could educate ourselves outside of the classroom more than inside of the classroom. And I tell my students that all the time. You learn more outside than you do inside. Like, um, yeah, so that's my little spiel. I think I oversaid a lot. I tend to talk a lot. That's just me. Yeah, so yeah.
So, what you learn from children? Because uh, this is something which is completely new what I'm hearing. Because education, I know I'm educated. I know people who are educated. I know I interviewed people who are from different parts of the world who are educated. But this special education is a special education for me and for the people who are listening to us. So this, what you learned from the children? You said that they come with disabilities called, some people, some students cannot express themselves, their thoughts or their feelings through vocal cord. So you mentioned example for
They use
bathroom. So
communication devices.
yeah, communication devices. So this is something that is completely new from the general children, all other children. So how you communicate with them? How what you learned communicating with them? What are the things that you observed while educating them by in different ways of yours?
You have to be patient and you have to be understanding, because picture picture somebody putting tape over your mouth for a day, and you're trying to communicate what you want, but people can't understand you. It's just as frustrating for you as it is for them. And we need to give students, all students, credit. The human brain can only retain so much information. And the human brain is like a computer. We could download a lot of information, but we can't expect to know everything. And what my students have taught me is, with patience and understanding, it goes a long way. Take your time learning about that child. Um, Not everyone has the privilege to use their voices. So it's important for every child to feel validated and heard, even when their vocal cords, even when they verbally cannot speak up. Um, because how would you feel, like I said, if you have tape over your mouth for a day and you're trying to speak to people, you're trying to communicate and people don't understand you and they're just getting quickly frustrated with you, it's going to make you feel very, very sad. And you're going to, it's going to I could tell you from my experience, and mind you, I could speak perfectly. I've had moments where I don't speak up for myself. I have moments where I don't use my voice and I don't feel heard. And it doesn't feel good. It feels horrible. Um, they're just kids. We have to be patient. Like, I feel like it's a human thing. We need to be patient with everyone. We need to be understanding. We need to be compassionate. Not everyone learns the same. I'm convinced I have attention ADHD. I'm certain I'm not diagnosed, but I'm certain that I have attention deficit. And people get easily frustrated at me sometimes because I have trouble. I have a focus problem. That doesn't make me less intelligent. It doesn't make me less anything. It just means I am human and it's okay for it's okay. No one has to be perfect. So that's what my students are teaching me. It goes with adults. We can't expect the same results from everyone. Everyone's different. We learn differently. Even if you're in Gen Ed, students learn differently. They learn at their own pace. We cannot make students feel less of themselves by saying, get it together. You don't understand this, like, you know, it's, yeah, I feel like as a human race, we need to do better to understand each other, even if it takes time. That's like a life lesson that I carried working in special ed education.
So you have the same mind, the brain that is trying that understood the communication problems and the expressing ways of children, and you have the same mind which is going to learn coding, which is completely a different subject. So
Yeah.
so so what do you think as a human being? You are observing, you're putting your mind on net and something which is related to communication and something which is related to a programming language.
I feel it actually works hand in hand. I feel like I do a little bit of coding even at work, especially when I'm reading, especially when my students are communicating with me with their picture devices, their communication tablets. Um, it definitely, I feel like I feel like we're blessed in this day and age that that technology could be made accessible to students in my school. Um, I believe that we need to make technology accessible to students across the world. Um, I do believe that every student should have a tablet. That's how they could learn. We don't know when's the next time we're gonna have a lockdown at this point. It, so the technology helps us stay connected and in sync. We do synchronous and asynchronous instruction whenever we do virtual learning. So synchronous would be live sessions, me facilitating a lesson through Google Classroom or Zoom. We use Google Classroom. My my school we don't use Zoom for our lessons. When we do asynchronous instruction, we just post. That's when we give the work to the students and they do it on their own time. So yeah, it's possible. It's possible. We students, children, like they learn so much. Also too much technology could not be too good, so we should have a balance as well. I actually think hybrid learning would be so amazing if we did virtual learning and in-person learning. I feel like students, yeah, I feel like kids need to go outside and explore the world, explore, what's outside the school building, what's outside the classroom, make learning fun, make learning pleasant. That's another thing that my children have, they taught me to have fun, and do everything and make a game out of it. Why not, right? That's why I feel that STEM needs to be brought, we need to bring more STEM programs, not just across the world in general, not just in the US, like everywhere. We need more engineers, we need more scientists, we need more mathematicians, we need more coders and developers. We need to encourage boys and girls to dip their feet into the water and to go out there and not let anyone or anything stop them from achieving what they want to achieve. I remember growing up, when I was in high school, I wanted to do psychology, and people were saying, "No, there's no money in that," and I got discouraged really quickly. I don't think that's fair for anyone. If you want to do something, do it. I do encourage children to get into a little bit of STEM. Build a robot. Make learn how to count in different ways. And I don't know if you do this in India, and in the US we have 100 day of school, and we use different types of projects, math projects, to count 100 in different ways. We use anything, buttons, candy, cereal, arts and crafts. Um, yeah, STEM could be fun. We need to make STEM fun for the children. STEM is cool. So,
So tell me, you as a STEMist.
me as a STEMist, I'm working on being a STEMist. I I actually kind of consider myself a STEAMist. I want to put the A in STEM. I love art. Art is, I feel like art and science, they're like the yin and yang. They do go together. We Students love to draw. Children love to paint. Children love to draw. Why, there's science in art, colors, teaching students primary colors, green, yellow and blue make green. That's science. Now go and paint a picture of a flower with the green paint that you made. STEMists and STEAMists are creators, and that's what we're aiming for. We want all children to become creators. We want all children to make something out of nothing. Like, how cool is it to, like, grab Legos and build a robot? Like, that's amazing. Or how cool is it? I was in the MySpace generation. I'm gonna be 29 next week. And when I was in high school, we had MySpace, and it was basically coding. We used to copy and paste the HTML to our page, make our page, the web layout look really pretty, put designs on it, put the music. That was basically coding. That was basically a front end that we were doing. We could encourage children to design websites, make websites pretty, learn the engineering aspect behind designing a website. It's so much you can do with STEM. I feel like when people think of STEM, they automatically think of medicine, biology, and medicine and biology. Very, very dope. My homegirl, she and I, we went to high school together. I think you call it secondary college or secondary school. That's when, yeah, right. I'm not too sure. But yeah, she's a pediatrician now. And she, even though she's a pediatrician, she does STEM. I'm learning that I'm not into biology, I'm not into medicine, but there's other things besides those two subjects. And I feel like we need to bring more awareness that there's more variety out there. And with science, with technology, with engineering, with math. And yes, I love adding the A and STEM and calling it STEAM. Because to me, art is very exciting. To me, music is part of art, and music could be a science. Actually, music is science dressed up like art. Like you can learn everything. So that's why I say that STEM is everywhere and children can learn STEM, even students with learning and special needs. There's no limitation. Literally, there's no limitation. My students, they know how to work an iPad better than I do. They teach me how to work an iPad. That's that's awesome. They're little geniuses in the making. So like I'm excited about what the future is going to bring for us in this digital era. Because again, I feel it in my bones that we're going to use STEM and technology in general for the good of humanity. I really do believe that.
So your students uses devices to in order to express themselves. So it is something which is related to communication. So you're already into the communication, being a special educator, right? So uh, do you think you're a very good communicator? Tell you can tell a human being what exactly you're feeling, what is there in your mind, and how to explain the thoughts that you have. Do you think you're a great communicator as a
I
special educator?
I think so. I think so. Yes. Yes, I believe I'm a good communicator. And I'm learning that there's so like communication really does go a long way. And I've actually this week I'm teaching my students how to express feelings, how to affiliate a word with a feeling. So when you feel angry, what do you think about when you're angry? What do you think about when you're happy? Show me the face that you make when you're happy, show me the face that you make when you're sad. Um, so I'm learning though. Obviously, I'm not the best communicator. I'm still learning. I'm not going to put myself on a pedestal and say I know how to communicate 100% because I don't. But I think I am a decent communicator, definitely with my students, definitely with my colleagues. If I need to address something, I will communicate that and I will find a way to get my message across, whether it's me communicating with my students communication device, with my vocal cords. And it is a privilege to even have vocal cords to use your voice. And I do encourage anyone out there to use your voice. um One voice really does make a difference. It goes a long way. I feel like as humans we don't give ourselves enough credit. um And look what you and I are doing. We're communicating. We're having this interview and we're discussing about STEM and education. And someone out there is going to be inspired by this interview, hopefully. You know? Yeah, there's ways of communicating. It's a matter of figuring out your method of communication. So,
So what do you think about STEM and how it is useful uh, for mankind?
If done properly, STEM's important. We need science. Technology has made learning more accessible. We need math and we need engineering. We live in buildings and houses. We use computers. That's everything is, all of these things that we utilize is part of engineering. We have construction workers. Those are engineers. We have mathematicians that so many math formulas that over the years they're very, very important. Math is everything. We need to learn how to count. We need to learn how to use money, right? Count money. Yeah, we STEM is cool, and STEM is definitely benefiting in our favor. It's opening our minds to a lot of opportunities.
Can you tell some examples related to STEM?
Sure. So, music. Music is a science, like I said, music is a science disguised as art. Um, yes, music and dance. They are arts. There's science disguised as art. Because with music, like I mentioned, there's math in music, there's science in music. For math, it varies in pitch, sound, vibration, rhythm. Um, the science of sound reminds us to stop, listen, and feel the vibration. For dance, um, is understanding the body and mind. And we need to understand the body and mind by knowing our I'm blanking out, astronomy. No, I'm blanking out again. You see, this is why I continue to educate myself. I'm learning more and more about STEM. But what I do know is that music and music and dance is an art, and it should be I'm so sorry, I just had a message. It should be incorporated into STEM because there is a science with everything. In order to know dance, we need to know about physics of dance. We need to know about how we move our bodies, rhythm, movements. So yeah, I'm definitely over the last 4 months, 4 or 5 months, I grew a new appreciation for STEAM. Definitely.
So if I ask you to relate STEMist in you and the special educator in you, so what is the thing that you say?
Repeat the question for me.
So if I ask you to relate, connect the STEMist in you and the special educator in you, so what do you say?
Um, well, that's easy because I teach English language arts and math. So I actually use digital technology for my lessons. I have my students use tablets. I have a smart TV. My students, they could log into different websites and they have access to multiple educational resources. Um, let me see. Science. I don't teach the subject science at my job, but we have a science teacher and he makes science lessons very fun. This week he's teaching students like the inside of a pumpkin because we're in October. Kids love pumpkins, love Halloween. It's very exciting. He makes it fun. He makes it relatable. And I think that's the connection. The connection for STEM and education is to make it relatable for the child. So that's why I do want to bring the A in STEM and make it STEAM because kids do love art. And art and science, they could go hand in hand together. So again, like if I'm teaching an art class, if I'm teaching kids the primary colors and how to mix colors, not only am I'm doing an art lesson, but I'm incorporating the science behind making, creating different colors based off of the primary colors. And then you can make whatever color you want based off of the secondary colors. Like, that's where students experiment and make their own hypothesis, make their own observations. I actually told my students a few days ago, like, we're little scientists, we're little detectives. We observe what's around us because that's a huge part of science is observing, is observation. For math, I give my students bar graphs. Look at the bar graph and tell me what you see. So, like the bar graph could be how many cookies did student B eat? How many cookies did student D eat? Like, look at the chart. So literally everything does integrate with each other. You could teach multiple subjects in one lesson. You could teach a science and art lesson together. You could teach a math and technology lesson together. It's possible. Math and art together. I've done craftivities with my students during math class. I teach my students how to make shapes, how to make 3D shapes, and we literally get paper and we cut and we design three-dimensional shapes. I'll show a picture of a cube. Okay, students, let's make a cube. And like they'll make a cube and then they color it. So literally, I feel like STEM is so unlimited what you can do with STEM and STEAM.
So you took a subject called special education, and which is completely different, like I mentioned before, uh, from the from the general education. So uh, you're trying to see world from the different perspective. Not people like me can see what can do what you're doing. It's completely trying to understand the mindsets of the children, understand how they are communicating, how they are expressing themselves. Uh, I think you are reading you are understanding the children's psychology. So tell me how now you're learning coding. So how your the previous experience of yours is going to helpful for you when you're going to develop a web application or a mobile application, or you are telling that you wanted to become a full stack developer, which is front end, back end, middleware. So how that previous experience, that communication, that and the psychology of the children, the expressions, the communication, that the interaction, the pictorial representation, and the cubes that you use to show to them in order to make them understand how, as an educator, uh, all that information that you have put in your mind, that is going to helpful for you in order to create something which is related to machine, computer, software.
I feel like I if there's anything I learned about education, period, is to take your time and learn everything little by little. So that's what I'm doing with coding. I can't learn everything all at once, right? So I'm starting off small. The way I educate my students, I start them off small. I don't want to overwhelm them. So that's what I'm doing with coding. That's why I have my coding community. I have my mentor. I have uh my coding colleagues to help educate me more. Because even my mentor, my coding mentor, even told us that everyone starts at zero and we can't do it all at once. We need to literally break everything down. So I am determined to master coding and full stack. But obviously, I'm not going to master coding and full stack overnight. I have to learn piece by piece. So, for instance, I'm learning right now HTML and CSS. I don't know JavaScript. I don't know Python. I don't know too many programming languages. So, I have a lot to learn. I have a lot to learn. But right now, I'm taking things easy because I'm putting my mind in the mentality as if I was my student. I don't want to feel overwhelmed. I don't want to feel like I'm going to fail. And even if I fail, and I tell my students this all the time, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to not know. Tell me you do not understand so we could work and figure out a way to understand the material better. So that's what I'm doing. I encourage everyone, I encourage my students to be easy on themselves, but to push themselves. Not too much, but enough where they do not say, I can't, because they can. It's possible. So that's what I'm doing. I've been affirming and I've been manifesting this full stack career into motion. I am a full stack developer. I am a coder. I am learning new things every day. I am going to make mistakes and I am going to learn from those mistakes. With without failure, there's no success. I expect to not get coding or full stack right on my first time. I expect to make mistakes. Now, this is where I tell my students to learn from your mistakes because that's where the learning really, really kicks in. So the mistakes I'm going to be making in my coding as I'm learning because I am a student. I have so much to learn. I'm pacing myself in a timely fashion. I have to organize my studies, my coding studies. Since I'm a teacher, that's 8 hours out of my day. So I'm creating because I have to get back on track with my coding studies. It's been months since I've touched my coding assignments. I'll be very frank. I have to create a schedule for me to progress in my coding studies because I can't say I am going to be a full stack developer if I'm not learning my coding studies. So I have to take the initiative. I have to hold myself accountable to move forward into learning, into breaking into the tech world. That's what I tell my students. It's their choice if they want to learn. Their disability has nothing to do with their progress. They like I said, I have students that my students are brilliant. They learn differently. I'm learning how they think. I'm learning their methods. We don't learn the same. You and I, we learn differently. We study things our own way, our own light. So, and I think it's beautiful. I don't want people to learn things the same way. That's boring. That's why, we should have fun when it comes to studying. And I'm not saying fun like let's lay back and no, like let's be progressively fun learning new things. So I'm going to have fun learning coding, learning full stack development, getting into the STEM community, getting into the tech community specifically. So And also, like, it's about believing in yourself. Without believing in yourself, there's nothing. I tell my students all the time, you matter. Whatever people think about you, forget about it. The mind is powerful. I can. That's what I tell my students. You can. And that's where me being an educator and me being a STEAMist intertwine. Because I see myself educating students in the future in STEM, maybe coding, who knows. I do not want my students to feel that they can't do anything because of their limitations. No, that's not fair. My parrot told me a book, um, The Reason Why I Jumped, and I forgot who wrote it, but it was a man in China and he wrote it. I don't know if you heard of the book, The Reason Why I Jumped. But this man, he has a special disability, and I believe, and he's brilliant. He's a brilliant mathematician with a learning disability. So yes, the book I believe is called The Reason Why I Jumped. So just because you have a special disability doesn't mean you can't do anything. There are people with autism that are lawyers. There are you could be a STEMist with autism. You could be a STEMist with any disability. So what? I really believe that anyone could do anything if they set their mind to it. I've been doing my method of meditation has been affirmations, and it's really changed my way of thinking, and it's actually changed the way I've seen my students as well. And again, it's been a very humbling experience because a little patience, because it does go a long way. There's nothing worse than feeling unheard or unseen. So I do encourage everyone, including people with disabilities, to pursue career in STEM and to keep picking themselves up, because failure is going to come around often. Now, it's how you handle failure that makes you the real winner. We're all winners. We're all going to fail. We're human. We're not perfect. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. Like, that's basically my take on STEM and education. Yeah.
Nice. So it becomes very easy as a software engineer, as a person who did a master's in software engineering, and as a person who did bachelor's in computer science and engineering. I'm telling you, your the experience that you have, the communication system that you observed and understood between you and the students, the kids, will definitely help you a lot in developing a application. Can be web or mobile, because you are doing eventually the technologies for people, technologies for human beings. So if it is very important for a technologist, for a people for people who are into technology, it is very important for them to understand communication. What is technology? Technology is communication. So it is very important to be a great communicator, to be to become a great technologist. Then only you can create a user interface front end. You need some functionalities. You are creating a website. You need, for example, you're creating a website for hospital. So you need, the hospital people comes to you and tells you that create this website for us. So what we need, these are the functionalities, or patience, all those functionalities which are related to them, they will give you, and you have to put in in your paper, and you have to build it. using the computer language that you learn. So for example, HTML, you can create the pages using one by one, uh, you have to reduce the pages and you have to make it look very good, should be user friendly, should be very easy to access, and even people who are using it from mobile, can be laptop, from any devices, it should be very easy. So I'm sure the experience of yours will definitely adds value to coding. Actually, not many people have what you have. That definitely helps you a lot in increasing. I mean, you will learn very fast than people who are directly learning coding. It's very important. And with my experience, I'm telling. Uh, Communication, like you said, you understood very deep level of communication. Very, for example, you're going to come, after learning you will learn some languages, you will learn coding, and you will go to a company, you'll get hired. Some the company people tells you to create, front end, work on front end. So you have to work there, and the experience that you got from your previous job, where you may be developing an application for children, you may be developing a mobile game, and there you have to know the children's psychology, how they
Right.
connect, what they think, how they think, the way of their thinking. You was telling in the beginning, I was listening to you. You're telling that you are understanding the way they are thinking. You understood how they receive things, and see things in different ways, and they are faster than you sometimes. They understand technology than you, uh, sometimes better. So when you work for a children's game, that actually helps while building an application, while building a software for children. So there are a lot of things that are going to helpful with the knowledge that you have, and it is actually you'll take very less time, up to my knowledge. And I hope you'll continue doing what you're doing, and you will learn new things what you love. And it is a communicating medium. You are communicating with human beings with English or with other languages, Chinese, other languages. You are trying to communicate and trying to connect with human beings, trying to make them understand, trying to tell what you think, what you feel, and you are listening to them, which means they are telling you, framing sentences, creating some paragraphs, telling their stories. You know, you are listening and you are understanding. It's a communication happening between human beings. When it comes to computer, in the same way, human created a non-living thing which have no life, and you can't communicate with computer with the language that you know. You can't communicate with human language. You have then human created a language with which human can communicate and connect with computer. Those are programming languages today. Those are the languages that we need to understand in order to communicate and connect, and do our analytical, logical, calculative, all those works with the computer, because computer is very faster and it is a storage device. You can store information, you can manipulate information, you can play even a lot of things with the computer. So it's a communication system. So the fast you learn the language between you and computer, the fast you can able to uh, create applications, anything you can do with a computer. And that's why I said, you understood the main thing, how to communicate with human beings. That is what uh, happens there. It's there you have to use the same, whether computer will be very logical. You have to say exact word in order to make it understand. here sometimes when you're communicating with human being, when you use some other word, the person will take it or try to understand it. But computer not like that. You have to put exactly. So you will become more particular when you start learn coding, put particular code in order to compile it, make it understand. So it is not going to be tough, but the only thing is time. Spend try to spend time and it and actually if you become very good coding person, it becomes very easy for you. You will become an expert to communicate with the human beings actually, because when you are communicating with computer you have to use exact words. In the same way, when you try to communicate with human beings, uh, you will use the same words, which means people call you a great communicator. So you're in the right track.
Thank you. I really appreciate I appreciate your input in coding. And I do hope to learn a thing or two from you. I'm looking for as many teachers as possible. Is I could never have too many. So, yeah.
Now you're learning HTML and CSS. I developed, my bachelor's project was creating a online police station, which means people don't need to go to a police station and give a complaint.
Oh,
They just have to create. They just have to come to into my website and just have to uh, give the credentials and give their details and type what happened and
that's
what is the
impressive.
issue.
A lot of time.
Yeah, that was my project. I did it individually. So I learned it in 1 month. I know nothing about coding. I learned in one month. HTML, CSS, whatever.
That
And
is,
my
you're giving me hope. You're giving me hope, Sai.
and I created 50 web pages, 50 web pages for that, and I connected using server. I created server. I created what are those tables tables and I created what are those tables? Data tables or some tables. I created that and I connected my web pages with that the backend one. And if somebody is typing here and giving credentials and trying to send submit, then those will be stored in that particular place wherever I gave. So that is how I made it work, and that was fantastic. I did it, the project I did in just 1 month, and my master's project was creating a social network site, and that I learned just in 15 days. It depends on your interest, how much interest you have on the subject, how much time you have to learn. So it's completely you. You can learn it in 15 days, and you can take 50 days or 10 days, 500 days. Depends on your interest, your time, and I want to learn this today. I want to complete this today. So definitely, when you enjoy, when you love it, it becomes very easier for you. So it's not nothing is easy, like you said. Nothing is impossible. Anything you can learn as a human being. So I did it. You will do it.
Thank you. I needed to hear that, Sai. It's so easy to encourage people. And then when it comes to ourselves, that's why the mind trick, it could really, really, make us think like, any thought really does matter. And the fact that you told me you've only worked on these projects for 4 weeks, 15 days, that's amazing. And you just gave me more of a push and an inspiration, motivation for me to even dive deeper into my coding studies.
Try to create small applications. Try to build small applications. You can you have WordPress where you can see PHP. go step by step, learn one language first, then go into another one. If you complete the language, if you become an expert, then step into another one. So one by one, if you go, you will become 1 year, put 1 year of yours, you will learn everything about coding. And today education is online. You can see YouTube channels, you can
Right.
see, you have a lot of resources. It is just your time, so you will do it.
You are absolutely 1,000% right. And I needed to hear that.
So don't forget to tell me when you become an expert and when you go and work as a technologist in any company. Don't forget me. And
Oh, of course not, because I'm definitely gonna let you know the apps and websites I'm creating. More so apps, but yeah, I will let you know about my projects. I'm definitely gonna keep you posted now that you and I have connected. And if I have any question, I will definitely come to you because you have a stronger background in coding and web dev. So
so I hope you'll create a website for yourself one day to show yourself, to say what you are, to tell what you learned. Like I already have a mobile app. I created it and using Android Studio. I created my website. I have two websites. I have two mobile apps. So
that's impressive.
I hope you will do for yourself one day to project yourself online. So thank you again. Do you have anything at last? Do you have anything to say to the world who is watching and listening to you from anywhere on this planet?
Believe in yourself. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Yep.
So, so what do you say about this conversation?
It's cool. I never been interviewed. I'm really, really honored, and I mean this, that you reached out to facilitate this interview. So thank you so much. I don't know what time it is over there, but because I know the time difference is crazy. What time is it over there, if you don't mind me asking?
It's 3 a.m.
Oh my God, Sai! Then a huge thank you. You need to get some rest. That's the that's the teacher, that's the maternal instincts kicking in. You need to get your rest. I really, really do appreciate you working your schedule around my schedule to have this interview. And I say it once, I'll say it another time. Thank you. Um, it really is an honor, and I look forward to seeing more projects that you're going to create because I already know you have projects up your sleeve. And I will subscribe to your YouTube channel. Definitely.
It's my pleasure completely. It's your presence is valuable for me in my show on my YouTube channel. So that's why I'm waiting. Actually, I'm excited to talk with you and to know what you feel and what you think and what you learned and what you know. And uh, I love learning like you. I love observing. I love absorbing. I love taking in something that I don't know. So it's valuable for me, your presence, and your cat presence is also.
It's actually my best friend's cat. This is Noelle. Say hey, Noelle.
Wow. So can I put this video on my have you seen
Yeah.
any videos of mine on YouTube channel?
I honestly haven't, but I will definitely check it out. If you could send me your YouTube link so I could subscribe and I
So
will
you
check
didn't
out interviews.
so you didn't saw.
I didn't. I'm sorry. I haven't. I gotta be honest. I can't. I Yes, I have to be honest. I haven't seen them yet. Yet. That's the key word, yet.
So I'm happy that you didn't saw my videos, because if you saw it, you will be communicating in different way, and you may not be yourself. So I'm very happy, because I just wanted to tell you that I took more than 500 interviews in last 1 year, which is there in my YouTube channels. So those are from all the people who came to my show are from completely different countries. More than 100 country people came to my show, and all are from different professions like police officer, army officers, authors of the books, and film film actors, film movie related people, directors, communication specialists, uh, and technologists, and people who worked with Bill Gates, people who worked with Steve Jobs,
Oh, the big guys. You're
and
you're calling out legends now. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates. You're calling out the legends.
so I'm happy that I interviewed them recently, and a lot of people are coming in coming days. So two videos I'm going to upload today, and after that I'll upload this video, and I hope
Thank
it reaches to a lot of people in the world, and your words creates impact in people who are educating themselves, and who are getting education. I'm sure your experience will change the way they are thinking, the thoughts that you said, the experiences that you had, the way you learned will make at least one person to improve themselves, and uh, become productive and constructive, and uh, have become have the growth mindset like you have.
Thank you, Sai. It really truly was an honor to be part of your show. And I do look forward to connecting with you again and discussing more STEM and coding, because I think it's important to bring more awareness.
I hope your contribution uh, helps a lot of people on this planet, not only for children. All these years, children got a lot of uh, 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 energy, knowledge from you. I'm sure in coming days, a lot of other age group also will uh, learn from you, and also your contribution to this planet will be valuable. Mm, it affects more people, and I want you to spread the awareness, the knowledge, and everything that you have. And I hope you continue doing what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really do.
Can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Of course. Of course. I consent. Upload this interview onto your YouTube channel, and at least one person will be inspired by this talk. At least.
Yes.
Yeah, you're already doing a lot for the world, trust me.
And also, can I put this video and audio clip on my podcast, website, social media, internet, everywhere with your permission?
Yes, 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 I consent that you can put this interview on all of your social media platforms.
I'll send you the links once I upload it. Do you want me to share any links, web links of yours in the description? People who find the video on YouTube can see your links. If you want, I will share. If you don't want, I will not share.
It's completely up to you. I if I'm comfortable with whatever you upload. I
Okay.
came to this interview knowing that you were going to upload this into your platforms. So, thank you for asking me for my permission. And I do permit for you to, because I know this is your show, and this is that's the whole point for people to hear these conversations.
So advance happy birthday. I hope
Thank you.
uh, until the next birthday of yours, you will learn coding, and
Yeah.
you'll become a technologist.
From your lips to God's ears.
Definitely. Thank you,
Thank,
Ashley, for giving me your valuable time and giving me so much to my audience.
thank you as well.
Take care.
And have a good night and get some sleep.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Good night, Sai.
Bye.
Bye.